You know, in today's enterprise, you're not just offering services anymore. You're basically running a data factory. And the Internet of Things, that's your main engine, pumping out a staggering amount of information every single second. But here's the thing. With this flood of data, you've got to ask yourself a critical question. How do you actually control it all? So today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to break down the essential framework you need for that control, IoT Data Governance.
Think about it. Every single sensor, every machine, every connected device you have, it's all just constantly generating data. Now, this explosion of enterprise IoT information, it's a huge opportunity, right? For innovation, for efficiency. But, and this is a big but, without the right management, it also brings some pretty significant strategic risks to the table.
And that right there, that leads us to the absolute core question every data leader, every CIO, every CDO has to answer. Is all this data a strategic asset that's going to propel your business forward? Or is it actually a hidden liability, just waiting to cause security breaches, compliance failures, and totally unreliable analytics? The difference between those two outcomes? It all comes down to one word: governance.
All right, so let's dive into the heart of this dilemma and really see why a solid data governance framework isn't just a nice-to-have anymore. It's an absolute must for modern enterprise IoT data management.
I mean, the sheer diversity of IoT data sources is just huge. We're talking about everything from, smart sensors watching your supply chain to real-time data streaming from industrial equipment on the factory floor. And it's all hooked up through all these different digital platforms. This creates a really complex, interconnected web of data streams that, you have to manage. And if you don't have a clear governance plan, that complexity turns into chaos, and fast. You've got poor data quality, which means you're making bad business decisions based on flawed analytics. Then there's security. Unprotected data from thousands of endpoints creates this massive target for security breaches. And of course, unaudited data trails can lead to some really severe regulatory penalties that hit you right where it hurts, the bottom line.
So, here's the main takeaway, the crucial point. Governance is the key. It's the only thing that can transform all that raw, chaotic IoT data into a secure, reliable, and honestly, an incredibly valuable asset for your enterprise. Without it, you're basically just collecting noise.
Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's get really clear on the what. What exactly do we mean when we're talking about IoT data governance in a big enterprise setting? So here's a pretty straightforward definition. Basically, IoT data governance is the whole system. The rules, the processes, the people, the tech that you put in place to control your data. A good way to think about it is like this. It's the operating system for your entire enterprise data world, making sure everything runs securely and efficiently.
And look, governance isn't about locking data down or restricting it. It's really all about protecting it. It's like a shield, making sure it's secure. It's the official rulebook that guarantees you're compliant, and it's the bedrock that ensures the quality and integrity of your data assets.
When you do this right, this framework helps you hit 4 really clear business goals. First, you get reliable data that you can actually trust. Second, you achieve real IoT data security across all of your devices. Third, it helps you navigate and meet those complex regulatory and compliance demands. And finally, and this is a big one, it creates a trusted foundation to power all the advanced AI and analytics that are going to drive your most critical business decisions. Okay, so how do you actually build this protective framework? Well, it all rests on a few key pillars. Each one is a critical piece of a successful enterprise data governance strategy. All right, these are the absolute non-negotiables. You've got to have strong data quality management because bad data leads to bad insights. Simple as that. You have to manage every single device and data source to keep a clear inventory. Super robust security and access controls are absolutely essential to prevent breaches. Metadata and data lineage, they're critical for understanding where your data came from and its journey. And of course, everything has to be compliant and auditable to meet all those regulatory requirements.
But let's be real for a second. Putting these pillars in place, it is not easy. The whole nature of IoT brings some very specific and pretty significant challenges that every organization has to figure out how to overcome.
For starters, the sheer volume and speed of IoT data can just totally overwhelm traditional tools. Plus, you're dealing with this fragmented ecosystem of all these different devices and protocols, which creates a ton of blind spots. Remember, every single unsecured device on the edge is a potential liability.
On top of all that, there really aren't a lot of standard frameworks for IoT governance out there. And trying to integrate all this data into your existing enterprise platforms, well, that can get architecturally very complex very quickly.
Okay, so acknowledging those challenges is the first step. Now, let's pivot and focus on the solution. Let's lay out a clear blueprint of best practices for building a strong, effective governance framework.
Success with data governance doesn't just happen by accident. It takes a deliberate, strategic approach. You have to design your governance framework with the same level of discipline and rigor that you'd apply to any other piece of critical enterprise architecture. So here's your roadmap. Number 1, establish crystal clear policies that define data ownership and accountability. 2, implement zero trust security. That means no device is trusted by default. Everything has to be verified for every single transaction. 3, standardize your data formats and metadata. This is absolutely crucial for making everything work together. 4, use scalable cloud platforms that are actually built for the massive scale of IoT. And number 5, constantly monitor your data quality in real time. That way you can catch issues before they blow up and impact the business.
All right, we've covered the why, the what, and the how. So let's bring it all together now and talk about the path forward, moving from a high-level strategy to actually getting it done on the ground.
You know, this quote really gets to the heart of the whole issue. You can have the most innovative, game-changing IoT project in the world, but without governance, it's just not going to scale. And if it doesn't scale, it's never going to deliver that ROI you promised. So yeah, effective governance is directly tied to your financial outcomes, period.
And that's exactly why a structured, methodical approach is so incredibly critical. When you build governance into your IoT data architecture right from day one, you avoid all that expensive rework later on. You end up building a scalable foundation that actually accelerates your time to value for every analytics and AI project you launch, instead of slowing it down.
So at the end of the day, getting IoT data governance right is really the key to unlocking the future of the data-driven enterprise. The very first step is to create a structured plan that's tailored to your organization's unique needs. If you're looking to build a modern data architecture and really strengthen your own IoT data strategy, the experts at Segmetriq Analytics can definitely provide more insights. And for more deep dives on AI, analytics, and data strategy, make sure you subscribe.